welcome to Rank Harvest. So, with today's uncertain economy and people not sure about their employment, we get a lot of questions about what's the best side hustle or side business to start. Now, of course, the answer is very subjective. If you're passionate about something or you're already skilled at something, then perhaps it's sort of a no-brainer to go off in that direction. But what if you sort of have to pick something out of the blue? Now, of course, with lockdowns here, and they're probably going to be on and off over the next several years, first of all, you want to pick something that's internet based. You want to pick something that not only can you control and manage over the internet, but your buyers can also buy it through the internet. Kind of the concept of a face-to-face service maybe isn't the best way to go in today's environment. So think of something that is internet based, something that can be operated well during lockdowns, and also low overhead. And I'll get into this in a couple minutes, but you want something that's low overhead so that you can not only keep your operating costs down, but just so you can change your mind and back out of this and head off in a different direction if you figure out that this first idea isn't right for you. And of course, from an SEO point of view, getting traffic is likely to make or break your business. So it's important to look at this through the lens of SEO. And there's kind of an easy way to determine how difficult SEO is going to be for whatever you select. And that is, put yourself in the shoes of your buyer and do a Google search for whatever product or service that you're thinking about. If what you get back is page one stacked with, Amazon, Macy's, Target, Walmart, a bunch of national players or even local players that just have a strong brand presence and they're well established, you're not going to unseat any of these folks and get your website in there and start making sales. You're going to be buried somewhere on page 10 where no one ever goes. What you need to think of this is you need to pick a product or service that's sort of niche and unique that fits an exact category. Like, for example, let's say you take baseball hats, like plain baseball hats, and you embroider people's initials on them. Well, that's an example. That's too broad of a keyword. If you look for that service on the internet, you're going to run into these companies and websites that you're never going to get ahead of them. But let's say you sell winter hats made from organic natural fibers. If someone types that exact search phrase into Google, well, maybe you can get on page one for that. Maybe it doesn't get as much traffic or sales as you like, but it's realistic, and you have to start somewhere. And it's better to start by getting some sales from some traffic rather than spinning your wheels trying to get on page one for something that you're never going to achieve. If you need inspiration, a couple places to look is you can go on sites like Fiverr or Upwork and see what other people are selling. Do a search for a list of services, and generally the top selling, most popular services will kind of be at the top. You can get a feel for what is selling really well right now, and maybe you'll find something that you're already good at, or that something you did way back in high school and forgot about. Well, there's now maybe people making a lot of money doing that, and you've already got that skill in place. Or if you want to make something kind of tangible, like turning a hobby into something you can make money on, go to someplace like Etsy. And don't just replicate the top selling product or service on either Etsy or Fiverr or Upwork. Generally speaking, when you're just getting started, you still have to come up with something sort of unique and individual. Another place to get inspiration is there's various websites that list businesses for sale. Another great place to get inspiration. And Also consider that you don't have to be the best or to sell the most in whatever industry you're looking to get into. A lot of times, sure, that the top seller might be selling 1,000 more of whatever you're selling per month and making a ton of money, but you still might be making enough to meet your own business goals, especially for low overhead. Maybe whatever it is that you're selling, you only have to sell a few of them a month to help out with your mortgage or buy Christmas gifts or whatever you have in mind. Another thing important to consider is don't spend the next 6 months or a year mulling over various ideas for exactly what business you should start. Make a short list of maybe 5 possibilities, and if you have to, just throw darts and pick one and just get started. And this kind of ties in with something I said earlier, which is there's a good chance you're going to change your mind anyway. And if you're low overhead, you can decide a couple months into your business that for whatever reason this isn't a good fit. You can back out of that without losing a bunch of money and take a different course forward instead. And you may do that several times before you pick a business that, first of all, you like running, and second of all, is actually making money for you. And start doing SEO early. There's a common misconception that you can just sort of buy some SEO services and be on page 1 next week. It couldn't be further from the truth. The more competitive your niche is, first of all, the harder it is to get ranked. But even if it's not competitive, even if you invent a product that no one else is even ranking for, Google puts you in what's called their sandbox, which means once you launch your website, generally speaking, no matter how much SEO you do, no matter how much effort you put into it, you're not going to show up in Google search results for at least 30 days. And sometimes it's more like 60 or 90 days. And again, that's even if you're doing SEO. But that being said, the sooner you start doing SEO, the faster you will get that rank sort of once you're outside of the sandbox. For example, if you don't do any SEO and maybe Google starts ranking you in this 30 to 60 to 90 day period of time, when you do start ranking, maybe you'll start on page 5. If you start doing SEO from the beginning, once you get out of Google sandbox, 30, 60, 90 days later, you might show up already on page 1. So it's important to start SEO early. And another question we get a lot is, like, look, I'm starting this business. I'm doing a side hustle because I don't have a lot of money. I can't. How can I do SEO without spending any money? And the answer to that is content. It's writing articles and blog posts for your website. Most websites launch with kind of the classic several pages. There's a home page, an about us page, a products page, and a contact page. And then it just kind of stays at that stage for a long period of time. You can get way ahead of that kind of average website by adding content. Get in the habit of writing 1 new page of content per week for your website. Somewhere between 500 and let's say 1,500 words. Just start writing content. Blog posts, articles, details, whatever. And if you're reselling a product, whatever you do, don't just simply copy the manufacturer's description and put it on your website, because likely that is on thousands of other people's websites as well, and it won't have any real SEO value. What you want to do is sit down and write unique information about whatever product and service you're selling, and Google will match that to people that it thinks are searching for your product and services. And again, that's free. You don't have to pay someone to write this. Just write it yourself. Figure out how to get it uploaded into your WordPress or whatever website, and there you go. That's free SEO. And content is really the foundation of SEO. If you do have a little bit of money to spend on SEO, the best place is probably backlinks. There's a little bit of controversy about Google saying that they're going to start kind of devaluing backlinks, but they haven't really done that yet. And backlinks are still probably the number 2 rank factor behind just adding content to your site. But be careful of cheap backlinks. Don't go with someone who says they're going to give you 1,000 backlinks for $10, because I guarantee you they're going to be garbage backlinks and not going to help your rank at all. Kind of a rule of thumb is if you're paying less than about $1 a backlink, you're probably paying for garbage. Now, if you don't know what backlinks are, I'm not going to get into it in this video. And even if you do know what backlinks are, you kind of have to get a feel for picking the right keywords, or you can just pay someone to do it for you. The profit margin on backlinking is relatively low. So even if you do pay for someone to do it for you, they're not going to do it for dramatically more than if you figured out how to do it yourself. So I hope this was helpful. Again, don't spend a lot of time trying to figure out what business to start. Just start one, because you're probably going to change your mind later. Pick one that isn't already dominated by big players. You don't want to be competing with folks like Walmart. You're not going to beat them. And if you need to do free SEO, just start adding pages of content to your website, and that will go a long way. Thank you.